Did your honey get cloudy and thick and kind of gritty? Well, that's called crystallization, but don't throw it away. In this video, we're going to take our gritty honey and turn it into a soft, smooth whipped honey. Let's go. What causes this is over time there's glucose in the honey, and the glucose precipitates out of the honey, and that causes the crystallization. Now, what causes that? It could be heat, it could be too cold. Most of your honey eventually, the older it is, will crystallize. Nothing is wrong with it. There's also different types of honey that are more prone. They have a higher glucose level in it, and that depends on where the bee went and got its nectar. So some of your clovers and different things are higher in a glucose, so they may be more prone to crystallize. I typically don't have honey last here long enough for it to crystallize. We go through it pretty fast. But I have a friend who every time she gets honey, she's tried it from different locations. Once she gets it home, that stuff just crystallizes on her. I don't know why hers does that. And she likes to turn it into whipped honey. So I got to thinking, when my cough syrup turned to thick and gritty for it to be a cough syrup. Now, you could still use it like this, but I wanted to take this opportunity to share with you how you could salvage, if you didn't like the texture of the honey, how you could salvage it. Now, if you took your honey and dissolved it in some warm tea or used it in cooking, it would dissolve, the crystals dissolve. So it's no problem, the honey isn't bad. But sometimes that texture just isn't pleasant for people. Now, I just have some warm water. This is just a little thin cloth that I have between the pan and the glass to keep it from getting too hot. And we are going to let this come up to a warmer temperature. We're going to keep it on low, in between low and medium. I have this little thermometer. We're going to make sure as this heats up that it stays between 95 and 104 and doesn't exceed 104. All we're doing is getting it gently warmed, and you can see it's getting thinner and thinner. We just want to get it warm enough to dissolve the crystals, but not too warm to destroy the nutrients in the raw honey. You could bypass heating up the honey if yours is a thinner consistency, but mine was pretty thick. And you want to make sure you don't get any water in your honey. This is at a good temp, so let's get it off here. Now, as you can see, that wasn't that hot that I can't touch it. So it was super low heat, and it was getting up into the 90s. So I took it off, and it's still a little gritty, but when we mix it, that'll take care of that. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to transfer it into a bowl, and then we're going to whip it. Then we're just going to start whipping. Now, you can whip this for longer and it will just continue to get thicker and thicker. It's not like whipping whipped cream, where after you whip it so far it starts to break up and the consistency changes. If you whip this longer, if you've got the patience, it will turn into something really thick, rich, and creamy, and it's really lovely. But I didn't wait that long. And it turns out beautiful. And it's a nice smooth texture. Now, I could have left it how it was, but this is just going to make it nicer. Now, like I said, this is a cough syrup that I made with mullein flowers and honey, and not a thing has changed about it. It is still just exactly the same, except it'll be a little more pleasant to take. Now you can do the exact same thing with regular honey, and we'll do some of that up so you can see what the honey actually looks like instead of my cough syrup. I'm just going to start with a little bit of honey, not crystallized, just regular old honey. And let's whip it up and see what we get. I washed these and I'm making sure they are very, very dry. Made sure my bowl was really dry. Let's get it whipped. After we get this whipped up real good, we will spread it on some homemade sourdough bread that I have. You could also take this a step further and add some room temperature butter while you're whipping it and make a really nice honey butter. Now let's see how it looks. And you can see it's a little thicker than just honey. Mm. Tastes just like honey, but it's pretty. But the nice thing is, it's not running off of the bread, and it's not running through, dripping through the holes of a good sourdough bread. So a little bit, but not bad. And just like that, you've brought back to life your crystallized honey, or just whipped you up a nice creamy treat of some regular honey. Now, if you are interested in seeing what I plan to do with the honey in some medicinal purposes, check out this video right here. I thank y'all so much for hanging out with me. My name's Loanna, and this is a little bit of homestead.